Hey, listeners, before we get to today's podcast, I just want to thank our sponsors who make this podcast possible. First off, we have Tiny & Sons Glass. Does your vehicle have cameras or driver's assist? If so, when your windshield is replaced, it will need to be recalibrated. What is recalibration? When your vehicle's windshield is replaced, the safety systems need to then be tested to ensure that they work with your new windshield. Some vehicles require static recalibration, and others require a dynamic recalibration. Not sure who to trust to take care of this recalibration for you? Well, just call Tiny & Sons Glass in Pembroke, Mass. They are experts in auto glass and registered company of the Auto Glass Safety Council. Plus, they make it easy. They will call your insurance company for you. Get your windshield replaced by their highly trained auto glass technicians. And get your vehicle recalibrated so you can be back on the road. Tiny & Sons Glass, keeping you and your family safe. And our second sponsor today is Baxter Blue. Do you experience digital eye strain from too much blue light exposure from digital screens? Baxter Blue glasses are not your average frames. These blue light lenses filter 80% of the highest energy blue light, eliminating 99% of the glare. The past year, we've all been glued to our devices more than ever. And here at Inebri-art, we're making more content. We have some video content. We're doing a lot of audio stuff, live streaming, which all means I'm sitting in front of the computer. Pretty much any time I'm awake, I am in front of the computer, eyes glued to the screen. Our exposure to digital light has soared, and our eyes and our sleep are suffering as a result. Baxter Blue is also a force for good and provides a pair of reading glasses for someone in need for every pair sold. This is eyewear built for our digital age, and Baxter Blue is giving our listeners 10% off the next purchase of blue light, sleep, or kids glasses. Click on the link in our show notes for an exclusive discount. This is the sign you have been waiting for to invest in blue light glasses. We know you'll love your Baxters, and we know that you will feel the difference. So thanks again for our sponsors for sponsoring the show, and now let's jump right into the podcast.
Cross the line, let go of stream. I've been in Tampa Bay, around the horn, and home again, 'cause that is the sailor's way.
Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. I am Andy, your host. Once again, joined by, let's go with Hanna. Hanna, the co-host.
Hello.
And produce. I always want to, I listen to another podcast and they always call their producer super producer. And whenever I go to say producer, wants to come out.
Sabooster.
Sabooster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't try to say it like that. I'll cut you up. They'll think you've been drinking.
Editor extraordinaire. Super cool guy, Fish.
You know another guy named Fish?
Yeah, I do.
Obviously.
I went to high school with a guy named Fish.
Okay, he's obviously.
He was
a super
actually
cool guy.
named Fish, though.
His name, his first name or last?
No, his last name was
Okay.
Fish.
I don't. This is very inside baseball right now.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, yellow.
So we'll get off of what Fish's real name is and talk about today's topic. So it's something local adjacent.
Yeah, should I do my update first?
Oh, yeah, let's do the update. We just talked about that until I
Don't
forgot
worry
already.
about it.
I'm sorry. I apologize. So 3 or 4 episodes ago, I don't know which one's coming out in what order. So a couple episodes back, we did an episode about the Wareham aquifer and what was going on with that. And Hanna, you have an update.
Yeah, it's not so much about the aquifer. But yes, it was.
It was about the aquifer.
Not really. It was about the zoning proposal.
Okay.
The aquifer just played a big part in it. So either way, regardless, they
So pedantic.
Yeah, I know.
That's Fish's job.
So we just did our town meeting on April 10th. They held it. Weather held up, thankfully.
Because it's outdoors.
It was outdoors. They would have canceled it again if it was raining or anything close to rain. And it was just so sunny out and beautiful. It was great. Over 1,000 people attended. It's
nice.
The biggest turnout they've had for a town meeting in ages. The last town meeting had 80 people.
Wow, and 1,000 turned out?
Over 1,000.
That's crazy.
And then, it was a big deal. So they talked about it a little bit. You got your regular town meeting stuff, people going up to the mics and saying stuff, funny, good stuff, and stuff you don't want to hear. And anyway, we could kind of tell from the beginning that it was like someone said something about not doing it, so opposing it. And we got a lot of claps around the field. We were in a baseball field.
Yep.
So I was like, I think we got this in the bag. And then we finally got time to vote. I was there around like 11:30. A little after 11, they were letting people in. It took until a little after 2 to get
for everyone to vote.
Everyone to get into the field because they only had 4 people checking people in.
Oh wow!
Which sounds a little.
Sounds like they did not expect that many people to show up.
They didn't expect that many people, but I did hear from other residents that in the past, to pass a vote on certain articles, they needed at minimum 125 people there.
Yeah.
So she was like, and they had more than 4 people at those ones.
Oh, so it's kind of like,
so it's voter suppression.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what people are thinking.
Bottleneck the entrance, people get frustrated
and leave. Yeah.
But I don't know if they've really realized that, but people are very motivated by spite.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start blatantly making things difficult for them, they will stick around just because you don't want them to.
Right. And I mean, that definitely worked. Like no one was leaving. Everyone got in. Everyone pretty much got to say what they wanted to say. It came time to vote. We looked around. We were doing hand votes and they had counters come around and count you. So the final count for like all in favor was 140.
And how many against?
It's like 840 something, 860 something.
So I don't want to say that it was directly related to just the old colony cast, but I feel like it was.
I give us some credit, but not enough.
Okay, all right. I'll say 623 of those votes were because of the old colony cast.
There's a Facebook page that was started by.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I need to give these ladies credit. So, Facebook group started by some people that I've just had the honor of being closely associated with through the last few weeks of this, and we were able to just organize, and them mostly because I've still stuck busy working and stuff like that, but they were able to organize. We did standouts. We just got the word out there. We worked everyone online. If people were on the town page and had questions, we were answering questions, just feeding facts out to anyone that was asking. We raised some money for signs. Got signs all around Wareham for Vote No. And the opposition or the developers, which is like the best part. I wish I had binoculars to see. They went to the meeting as spectators.
Oh, really?
And I wish I had binoculars to see their frickin' faces. So they spent like an obscene amount of money in the opposition of it. They had a website. They hired a publicist company that like did all like the dirty work of getting stuff out there. I got endless mailers from them.
Yeah.
Like they were sending like emails. They were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And sending out misinformation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily there were so many people who cared about it. Like anytime they did a financial assessment, there was someone who debunked it, someone in finance who was able to say,
nice.
none of that's true. So there were so many other people besides the group from the Facebook group that I was a part of that helped with that. But it was definitely, it helped restore my faith in people a little bit. It was really cool to see so many people care at something that was so blatantly obvious, a steamroll attempt from a developer who had way more shicey stuff come out after we talked about them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
alleged shicey stuff?
No, it happened. They were sued by their Granite Links employees because they were taking their tips.
Oh, that's not okay.
Yeah, and their employees, they had to like settle out. Like they had to end up like paying them through the court or whatever.
Yeah, and
then there was something else. Like they sued the town of Milton for putting up wind turbines like too close to the golf course or something. So they definitely I was like, do we really want to get into business with these guys?
All my favorite golf courses have windmills.
I'm like, what does it matter?
I totally just got that.
Thanks, Andy.
That was a very bad joke. Wow.
Yeah, I like that.
No, that's great. That was a good one. No, ha 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 ha. You can edit this however you want. Ha 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 ha.
But anyway,
he's gonna put in audience laughter.
Yeah. We
Standing ovation.
we won. That's pretty much the end of the story. It was a great feeling, and finally, like, just accomplished a very large task because you really couldn't tell. Like I said before, I was
Solely in part to the old colony cast.
yeah, definitely.
That's what I keep hearing.
It was just cool. It was a cool thing to
How
see
the
and be a
old
part
colony
of.
Cast saved Wareham.
Yeah. Well, there's more to come. Like, we're not done. We're going. The next town meeting is on May 8th. And there's a town election coming up. One of the selectmen is up, so we're working on a lot of stuff locally to get the word out.
Well, I think the important thing is it's highlights what people can do when they get involved in local politics. Sometimes when you look at national politics, you're like, well, what can we really do? But locally, you can do a lot more.
You can do a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of the selectmen said it best himself. He was like, we can screw the town up way more than any president ever could.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, you can.
Please don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're asking you not to.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
But so that's an update.
Yeah, that's it.
But
Good news.
it was very good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Kudos to your hard work.
Thank you.
Fish, I'm sure you did something good too. Anyways, well, what are we talking about today, Hannah?
So we're going to talk about, we're talking about a business, a man, and a hospital.
Businessman in a hospital. I feel like this is a movie.
Yeah, a business, a man, and a hospital.
Pitch me the movie, Hannah.
So Jordan Marsh. You know about Jordan Marsh.
Sure, of course I do.
We all know about Jordan Marsh. I barely remember Jordan
Yeah,
Marsh.
I'm pretty sure anyone under the age of 25 does not know
No,
what we're talking
you're
about right
actually so spot on to the year of who would know about Jordan
I
Marsh.
don't
It's
like these
creepy.
episodes. I don't like these
now. Yeah, I
episodes.
was there, Hannah.
I
right?
know. I just like that you know the exact cutoff of people born on the date that it
Is
was.
this your first podcast with Fish?
It's just cool, man.
Well, I never-
I like
look.
it.
Just don't ask them what year it is. We're terrible with years.
Yeah.
So we are talking about Eben Dyer Jordan. Who?
Eben Dyer?
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Yeah,
What
you
is that?
like it?
Yeah, I
Names, or
do.
is that his name, Eben Dyer?
Two
Is it
names.
Eben
Little-
Dyer
Yeah. Jordan.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So him and
Still like it.
Yeah.
Eben Dyer.
him and Benjamin L. Marsh founded Jordan Marsh.
Yep.
Obviously, their two last names in 1841. But before then, Eben Dyer Jordan, he lived. What did he do? He worked in a Boston dry goods store. We've talked about dry
The
goods.
Boston Dry Goods. Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that. That's where the
where
first
Santa
Santa
came
Claus.
Yes.
Yeah.
He worked in a Boston dry goods store.
But not,
Not
the
the Boston.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure all
So
of
he
them are-
so he worked in a dry goods store in Boston.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of stores and companies were called like the Boston Dry Goods Store. It wasn't the only one. in
Oh, so it
Brockton.
just wasn't
Trademarks.
connected.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
And let's see. Oh well, before he worked there, he was born, if you could believe it. And
Nope.
Wait, what?
yeah,
Really?
crazy.
Wow.
On October 13th, 1822.
These fetuses just not working anymore.
and
Bunch of slackers.
oh jeez, in Danville,
Next
Maine.
episode, Andy.
Where's Danville, Maine?
Oh, it's in Maine.
Oh, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
he lived on
North of here.
Yep. He lived in Beacon Street in Boston on Beacon Hill, and that was his permanent residence. His house that he lived in is actually up for a possible Boston landmark.
Really?
Yeah, which I
Okay.
thought was cool.
Okay.
And he had a seasonal home in Plymouth.
Nice.
Yeah. And he married his wife Julia Clark on January 13th, 1847.
Okay.
And they would have 5 children: Walter, James, Julia, Eben, and Alice.
Apropos of nothing, remind me about Jonathan Spear. This can't make the episode. I mean, it doesn't matter if it makes the episode, but it's going to be apropos of nothing. But I have to tell you about Jonathan Spear. Go
Let's
on.
keep it. That's fine. I like it.
All right.
But I really like, so obviously the juniors are common still, but I like that they have a daughter named Julia. That's his wife's name.
Yeah.
And I feel like women naming their daughters after themselves really fell out of style at some point. That used to be
Yeah.
a fairly common
Was it really
practice.
common?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. fairly common,
Yeah.
not like everyone.
everybody.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is you'll run into stretches in English where there are very, very few acceptable women's names. And at some point, your name is Mary, your mother's name is Mary, her mother's name is Mary, her mother's name is Mary.
Your Irish is showing.
It's the glare off the lights.
It's the fluorescence. It's a Twilight joke. You guys wouldn't get it.
Nope.
So, in this is a fun little factoid about him. Jordan Marsh department store chain. Okay, in 1872, him and some friends actually formed the Boston Globe. So he's one of the founders of the Boston Globe.
That's interesting.
Yep. And
So he's more than just a dry goods.
yeah,
Kinda
he's
guy.
like entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
little.
you got that right.
Thank you. And yeah, 1841, like I said, was when Jordan Marsh was formed, and it was a department store chain, or became a chain. And he had worked at that dry goods store for about 10 years, went into business for himself, and then a few years later met Benjamin Marsh.
Yeah.
And that's when they started that. They sold silks, linens, dry goods.
Another linen guy.
Yeah.
Who was the linen guy? Oh, Gardner.
Yeah.
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 And from
Big
Europe,
money in linen.
I guess so.
they started they sold goods from Europe, and they started as a wholesale, so they sold to other stores.
To sell, yeah.
Yes. And they moved to the department store for like regular foot traffic
Yep.
in 1861. And they soon moved into the 450 Washington Street in the heart of downtown Crossing, in the shopping district. And so that's in 1861, and it would remain there until like 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there forever.
I mean, Jordan Marsh was around for
Forever,
a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Like you're saying 1860s, and I'm like, it was 100 years old before I was born.
Yeah. So something cool to think about as to where it was and during the early 1900s
Yeah.
when a special flood happened, and
Was this involved in the molasses flood?
it was only a 24-minute walk. It was within the range of the molasses.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what always fascinates me about these businesses that have been like, oh, we've been here like since 100 years? I'm like, what is in your back room? Like, there's got to be that one box that keeps getting like shuffled around. That's been
LL
there for
Bean
like 40 years.
has a whole not a showcase, like you need to be like invited to look at it.
Yeah.
It's like the original boots,
Yeah.
and like
But don't you just envision there's like some box on some shelf that's been like stuffed behind another box for like 35 years?
if it's a good enough run company, no, there's not one like that there.
Okay, so every company I've ever worked for, I feel like there's a box behind another box.
No.
Yeah, it's one
I'm
of
not
those-
going to say I worked for big box retail, but I worked for big box retail, and we were going through the overheads, and we found a drill that had been marked down to $4.
Oh my
A
gosh.
cordless electric power drill
Yeah.
to $4. So I'm sure there's got to be like something
Maybe.
in the wall, or people
never
find
know.
weird stuff.
So I thought that was cool that they would have been part of the molasses
Yeah, that's
flood.
awesome. Yeah. Previous episode, go back and listen.
Yeah, exactly. They would become the first department store in the U.S. So to actually have like individualized sections with this is where your bedding is, this is where your home goods are, this is where
How was it set up before?
everywhere.
Just
Oops,
like-
excuse me.
Thanks, Hannah.
You're welcome.
How was it set up before, Hannah?
Just things everywhere. No, I think by department store they moved into a big space, so they were able to actually. It wasn't just like an open space selling
So it was
format.
like women's over here, men's over
Yeah,
here.
I think it was like
household goods.
They actually had floors, and they were able to like
Yeah.
make
first floor dog collars and
Yeah.
satchels and
Third floor
apples.
women's clothes
Third
and so
floor,
on.
yeah.
the
You said women's clothes. I started with dog collars, satchels, and apples.
Some kind of party, Andy.
Yeah, well,
So I mean, it was definitely a not revolutionary, but no other store was necessarily as
big to need that.
well, and they weren't organized like the way they were setting the scene. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
were creating
And to
the.
toss in the fact that you're talking, what, 1860s?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, a lot of the time you didn't go, when you went shopping, you didn't like go and...
Apples would be in one store.
Well-
dog collars would be in
not
another
exactly.
store.
Like, even if you went to like a general store, you wouldn't shop.
No, they'd pick it out
You
for
would
you.
go in.
Oh,
you
right,
would give
right.
the clerk the list of stuff you
Yeah.
needed.
I always
and
thought
they
that
would
was
go
super
get it
weird
for
in
you.
like movies where they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, let me see your shopping list."
It would be weird because I'm like, how is everything behind the counter?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you
It's-
know everything was behind the counter?
Opposed to
that they
like
needed?
stores I work in now, where they're like, "Oh, do you have such and such out back?" I'm like, "There is no Outback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is
don't-
either out here or not at all."
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
You know, you seem like you had something to say.
I
know.
lost it when everyone looked at me.
It's all right.
Hannah, stop looking at fish.
Okay. So
Don't make eye contact.
eventually
If
Eben's
you
son
if you don't move, he can't see you.
eventually Eben's son, the junior one, Eben Jr., became a partner in business, and Benjamin Marsh ended up leaving for
So he left, but they kept the name.
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
And this other guy, George Milton, joined as a partner. They offered shopping with personal care, elegance, and ambiance as the years went on.
I mean, as all retail does nowadays.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
but then they weren't. Like, they
That
became
was
like,
sarcasm, Hannah.
Yes.
Like,
Biting
where's their
sarcasm.
ambiance?
oh, they try to. Every store tries to create like an image.
I feel like image and
You know what?
ambiance
I
are
will
two
give
different
you
things.
And an ambience.
I will not give you elegance.
Not elegance, no.
No.
But when I think of that, like, remember
I worked at Home Depot. There was no elegance.
Filene's, you know? Filene's. sorry.
Filene's.
Filene's. I think it's just someone's name that we've been pronouncing
It's
wrong.
Filene's.
Filene's.
Filine is such a pretty name, though.
Look, Hannah, what you want to name your next dog aside?
I love this because I can't spell to save my life, and Hannah mispronounces everything. It's amazing. So someday I'm going to spell Filene's, and she's going to read it and it's going to come out Filene's.
I say Filine on purpose, so I know it's Filene's. I
Yeah.
grew up in the South Shore. I'm going to Filene's, like Filene's basement.
Yeah, I don't remember there being an actual Filene's. I only remember Filene's basement.
Well, Filene's in the Kingston Mall was all the way at the end of the basement.
then down the escalator. Yeah.
down the escalator in the actual basement,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
and it was
Kingston is not the
So
mall
different.
I went to growing up.
random factoid. My great uncle did the window displays for Filene's in Boston. The
No
first
kidding.
Filene's, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I would go on to do window displays for my whole life, it feels.
It's in your blood, Hannah.
Yeah. Oh, man. So they were selling
Back to the podcast.
goods and wares from all around the world. They never stopped importing, and they would produce fashion shows. Like, they'd actually put on fashion shows in their stores.
Oh,
They were
really?
one of the first stores to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And art exhibits,
Nice.
concerts, small concerts.
Okay.
And
I feel like we need to work with Jordan Marsh.
yeah, and the
Jordan Marsh, reach out to Inebri-art. Let's talk.
and the store had a bakery that was prized for these famous blueberry muffins,
Oh, now
which sounds familiar.
This is going
to
roll
me.
back a ways.
Okay.
There was a department store in the South Shore Plaza that used to have a restaurant, like IKEA style, but like sit down.
Okay.
I want to say it might have been Jordan Marsh. Now I'm not sure.
It could have been.
Let me sound out.
There is one that's there now.
There's a department
No-
store with a restaurant.
Nordstrom.
It wasn't Nordstrom.
But that might be where
It-
Jordan
Oh, maybe.
Marsh was.
Footprint,
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like what's the store? What's the kind of store I'm talking about?
Department store.
No. It's like the store. What are your, not key stores, but
Anchor.
anchor store. Thank you.
There you go.
You're welcome. Yes, it was an Anchor store.
Yeah. So I wouldn't doubt it if you like have to change nothing from Jordan Marsh to
Yeah, it's
Nordstrom.
Like, basically,
It's
just
like
the
same-
sign. You
yeah.
change the sign.
Yeah, it's the same store. Even like the weird marble floors.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet it is that because they still have a cafe in there. Which, like, when I worked in that mall,
Yeah.
I was like, what is this doing here?
It was very, like, even as a kid, I
Yeah.
remember being like, this is the weirdest
It's
thing.
so weird.
You took me here to get shoes, a dress shirt, and lunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, they did have a little like cafe, like just a mini cafe for like, coffees and stuff.
Yeah.
And that I would hit up all the time.
Sure.
So I'll get.
But it was like a restaurant, though.
Yeah, this is a restaurant upstairs.
Upstairs. Yeah. You know where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yep.
All right.
And they had a cafe
Now
downstairs.
I want to go to Nordstrom's for
Yeah.
lunch.
Super lost.
Let's try it out.
We completely derailed this.
Whatever. Jordan Marsh had also created a credit program, just starting charge accounts for their customers.
Oh, all right, this just in.
What?
So I texted my older sister, and that came back super
This
fast.
is live, folks.
This is super live. So I said, hey, was Jordan Marsh the place at the South Shore Plaza that had a restaurant? And she confirmed yes.
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, charge accounts, Jordan also came up with the customer is always right policy.
Fuck him.
Insert swears here.
I had parentheses eye roll like, written down.
Oh,
I think I'm just gonna run like a 13-second long
like
lead, and then just I feel better now.
He also had a lovely money back guarantee return policy for people.
ugh.
I don't know
All
under
right.
what conditions.
As
but-
working in customer service, I agree with Fish's previous 14-minute long censor.
They were also the leading edge of technology as far as like having that in their main store. They had electric lights, glass showcases, telephones, elevators, and they also had those fun tube things that like the
pneumatic
bank
tubes?
The pneumatic tubes?
that the banks use.
Donnie thinks it's magnets.
Wait, really?
Who?
Donnie thinks it's magnets.
My husband?
No.
Oh.
Come on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
If listeners out there get that reference, please email us. I'll explain it to you guys later.
Okay, cool. In 1935, Jordan Marsh became one of the founders of New York Company and Allied Stores Corporation. So this is where, like, if you look at the timeline of how this brand became unbranded, like this is where it starts because they were essentially like not bought, but Allied Stores Corporation would become like the global.
The umbrella.
Yes,
Oh, like the umbrella company.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And it changed hands more times than I felt like writing down.
Okay.
So
There's pages of notes. Literally pages.
no, it was like and then whoever. So I looked at Wikipedia for a good amount of this,
Yeah.
and whoever was writing it also like clearly got sick of it because none of it was in like order of when
Yeah.
it happened.
They were just like, go see someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot of switching. There was a lot of just like
Well, I feel
getting
like
into debt, filing for bankruptcy, getting bought out.
I feel like
buying other
that's like a trend that
companies.
started like the early 80s through the 90s where like all these big chain store companies were constantly like selling to this company, selling to that company. You know, they bought this like company, but then they had to sell off a certain number of stores to another company.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in 1935
Which
was
still happens.
the
Oh, sure, yeah.
the start of that, but really it kicked off exactly when you said like in the 1980s. That's when like,
there.
things just got crazy. After World War II, the company decided to open up a new location that took up, and by new location, they ended up just occupying and monopolizing the entire block of the downtown crossing area.
Like Occupy Wall Street style?
Just leasing out the buildings around.
I know. I was
literally the opposite.
that's why I was a joke fish.
Leasing,
When you explain it, it's no fun.
leasing the buildings around their
no fun, you
flagship
sold it.
store. So the entire complex, which was the Jordan Marsh complex, was 16 stories, 2 below ground, 14 above, so huge. And it had the latest technology, so that's in 1949. So now with all the other fun stuff I mentioned, they also have automatic doors,
Okay.
which was cool then, and air conditioning. which was really cool.
I get it. Cool. I see what you
yeah.
did there.
I'll find
Hannah
mine.
has jokes.
Yeah. In the new store, so there was a few different stores. The new store, the original main store, their flagship, the annex, the Bristol building. And that was actually it. But it it made up 1,700,000 square feet
Wow.
of
That's a lot.
selling,
That is very
of
big.
retail space,
Yeah.
which is a ton.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
shopping.
Yeah, it is.
And they hung out there. They did business there.
It almost sounds like they were the Walmart of their day.
Yeah. But they were like classy. No offense, Walmart.
So the Target,
So Target's not classy.
relatively.
Target is classy in relation to Walmart.
I'm going to compare them to the store we just spent a lot of time talking about how they also have a cafe.
Nordstrom?
IKEA?
Nordstrom.
Nordstrom, all
yeah.
right.
And they started creating department stores outside of Boston. Actually, they were one of the first stores to go into that mall in Framingham, Shoppers World.
Yeah.
And they were like the main store there. It was huge, really like crazy looking dome entrance. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And that was like it was not that long after they expanded in Boston, like 1950 something. And malls were becoming more popular.
For our millennial listeners, malls are places where people used to go to shop.
Yeah. And the stores they opened up around the country created half of the business for them
Yeah.
from 1940 to 1966, which was a lot considering their Boston store made them a lot of money. They grew in popularity, malls. We talked about that. Oh, in 1986, that's when all the weird buyouts, bankruptcies,
Yeah.
selling, sharing.
I'm telling you, it was a weird time. Like, every time you turn on the news, it's like, so-and-so is, like,
Yeah.
being sold out, and they have to sell off, like, 30 of their stores to this company and 12 to this other company. And
It's
Yay, antitrust.
yeah, it was a lot. And they ended up selling to Macy's. Before we get to that, I almost forgot the most important cutesy part. I don't know why it's cutesy. In the Enchanted Village was a Jordan Marsh.
Oh,
thing.
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that. Yeah. Which is like a big holiday thing. And then when Jordan Marsh was no longer, Jordan's Furniture took it over, right?
Kind of. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it went from
Oh, we should get Jordan's Furniture. Think we get
1972.
Elliot?
It ran consecutively from 1940 to 1972, which is a long time.
It is.
Yeah. And then they stopped for a while and they started again in the 1990s. And I went to this
Yep.
before they stopped it. And it was discontinued in 1998.
They basically stopped it for my childhood.
Yeah. They said, Andy cannot have this.
Andy cannot be enchanted.
Yeah. But
And I'm like, but I'm a +1 to podcasting.
1998, they stopped. And it
Yeah,
was
that-
because Macy's had finally fully taken over.
Yeah.
All the weird stuff. Yeah. 1994, Macy's was, Jordan Marsh was officially bought out by Macy's in 1996. Their name was now Macy's everywhere. The signs were coming down and the Macy's signs were going up
Oh, that's
across the
tragic.
nation. So one thing that I don't know, like how, I think I saw it on like All Things Plymouth or Remembering Plymouth, a town page.
Oh,
that
like
made
one
me
of those
think
like
it.
Plymouth back in the day kind of thing.
Yeah, so someone shared about Jordan Hospital.
I've been there. I broke my ankle.
Oh, cool.
I had to go to Jordan.
Nice. So
I'm pretty sure it's Jordan at the time.
yeah, had to have been. It just became Beth Israel like 10 years ago.
So I went to Beth Israel when I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
That was
I was trying to make a tie-in, but
4 years?
no, not even like 3.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you went to Beth Israel.
Yeah,
So,
I called it Jordan now. If that makes a difference.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah.
We rub it in their face. My mom has worked there like my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, well,
She work in the emergency room.
she works in the OR, the operating room. Did you get surgery on your ankle?
I did not.
Okay, then you didn't run across her.
No, I get an X-ray, and no drugs.
Rough.
It didn't hurt by the time I got there.
Okay, cool. Never mind. So he Jordan Hospital became as a 12-bed rural hospital.
A what?
A 12-bed rural Hospital.
Oh, rural. I thought you said bedroll hospital. I'm like,
Federal Hospital.
what does that mean?
Everyone gets a sleeping bag.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
And this is obviously
that's tiny.
yeah, and
12
beds, and that's like in the 1940s.
40s.
No, not the 1940s. Sorry, it was before that. It was like way before then. But
12 beds is like nothing.
Yeah, it was like 18 something. It was started, and Eben Dyer Jordan donated $20,000 was the fund provider for the hospital in its beginnings, and because he lived in Plymouth, and he's like, shout out to my people.
Shout out to the sick 12 people in Plymouth. Woo.
Yeah, pretty much. And
I got you. There's 13 of us. Oh, damn.
I got most of you.
and the first act of the director then was to purchase the land on Sandwich Street where the hospital still stands between Sandwich and Obery Street.
It's probably much bigger now.
Yes, it is. They expanded.
I've been there a couple times. There's more than 12 beds.
For what it's
And
worth, Jordan Hospital opened in 1903.
yeah, I was getting to that.
Okay.
I'm just
Why
saying
you-
that 12-bed hospital
Oh, that was the 12 bed. I thought it was the same.
previous.
Okay.
Yes.
Jeez, Fish. You
Sorry.
doubt Hannah. Hannah had complete faith in you.
She said it opened in 1950.
No, I corrected myself after that. I said, no,
Yeah,
not
she did.
1940.
Yeah.
Way after that. Way before then.
Yeah, Fish.
Fine, I'll just cut this out.
Sure. So in 19...
Don't cut out the part where you're wrong.
That part's been wrong. That's why I'm editing.
On December 1900, the town voted to name the hospital after the generous donator.
Which makes sense.
And the hospital received its charter in 1901 from the Commonwealth. A Boston architect named William Atkinson was hired to build and construct the hospital and manage the construction as well. And it was just weeks away from being done. And on September 12th, 1902, a fire burnt it all down to just the walls.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tragic.
God,
It
it's like
was-
3 days away from retirement.
Were there 13 people inside?
Oh my gosh.
No, only
13?
12.
What? I was going to say, why is it 13? Was it 13? No, never mind.
12.
You said 12.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I edit that part out.
So it was rebuilt for $3,500, just about $35,678
$3,500. Yeah.
and 76 cents.
That's the important part.
On December 19th, 1903, it admitted its first patient. So it didn't take them that long to rebuild it, which was great. And in its first 14 months, it received 122 patients through its
Wow.
doors. Yeah. And they really needed more than 12 beds, apparently.
I guess so,
Yeah.
right?
And it's now owned by Beth Israel Deaconess. They took over
Did an excellent job on my ankle. Thank you very
about
much.
10 years ago.
To the nurse who told me I, quote, won.
Oh.
Had my x-ray. He shows up. He's like, yeah, you won. I'm like, I won? He's like, yeah, your ankle's broken. I'm like, it doesn't feel like winning to me.
And yeah, the hospital lovingly referred to as the Jordan.
Yep. I've been there a lot.
It's a big part of the community.
In retrospect, it is. It very much is. And I've been there in 46 years. I think that's been the hospital I've been to the most.
Yeah, same.
And I've only lived here. I don't think I've lived here 10 years.
Yeah, now it serves 12 towns. Like it's hopping. It's way different from even when I was a kid.
There's
They've added on
at
so
least 14 beds there.
much. Yeah, they've added on so much.
Yeah.
It's just so different from when I started there.
I've never had
When
a bad
I started there.
When you started there. I've never had a bad experience. I've taken a lot of people there. I feel like I'm a damn ambulance, honestly. Now that I think back about it, I'm like, I've been there a lot for other people.
Yeah, my mom
I've been there once
My
for
mom-
myself.
started working there, I think, when I was like 7. So she's better.
Now I want to count.
How many times you been there?
5, 6.
That's interesting.
I think I'm pushing 10, and I've only been there once for myself.
Nope, never been.
It's a nice place.
So I used
very
to go,
nice there.
we used to go a lot because my mom worked there. Obviously,
Yeah.
we used to call a lot. I still know the operating room phone number.
Yeah.
Like if I could just hit them up.
Is
right
that what your
now.
mom did? She was the operator? Or that was you?
She's a surgical technician.
You had the inside number.
I had the inside number
All
to
right.
the operating
Yeah.
floor. So you can just call right to that, and then
And be like, yo,
and you ask for Sue
hook me up.
Gonsalves, and you say, "Hey, my friend asked if I could hang out after school.
Is that cool?
Is that cool?"
And she's like, yeah, I'm carrying a guy's spleen.
But
Leave me
she
alone.
She can't always talk. So sometimes someone would go up to the room and be like, "Hey, Sue, your daughter's on the phone," or whoever, because
Yeah.
a million kids were calling her all the time. And she'd be like, "She's scrubbed. She can't talk." And then I'd have to say, "Can you ask her if blah blah blah?" And I know that people who answer the phones there all the time, like it's probably still to this day, but like they don't need to take as many calls
Right.
like that because they all have cell phones now. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a big part.
Literally
of my
holding
childhood.
someone's spleen.
I used to like.
Hannah, no one cares where you go.
We used
Holding
to
a
hang
guy's
out like
spleen.
in the break room and eat crackers. And there was like one point my mom had an on-call room for when she was on call there and had to sleep there.
Yeah.
And we used that once when our shower was broken. But it was cool
Well, sure.
because we didn't have any hot water.
Yeah.
And we went there to shower, and it was cool because they had cable, and we didn't have cable, so we were like, yes.
Can we shower here all the time?
I know. Yeah. I don't know what was happening with the hot water. We just didn't have any.
It happens.
It's fine. But yeah, it was I just like know so many people that work there. It's a good time. The Jordan.
The Jordan.
And I'll never call it anything else.
Friggin' Jordan.
I got into a car accident, had to get taken there, and they were like, "Do you know what hospital you're at?" Doing like the brain check, and I was
Yeah.
like, "The Jordan," and he was like, "You're incorrect. Actually,
And you're like, no, listen.
Beth is real."
Let me tell you what the number is to call here on the down low. And by the way, you have cable in the on-call room.
No, but it was cool. We used to like go in through the operating room entrance and
Yeah.
not like the. I don't know. It was just fun. It was a fun little place.
You went in through the special entrance, not like the commoner, like
Yeah.
injured people.
That's what I used to do. My mom,
I like
my
the-
mom worked in a hospital too. I know what it's like.
I like the old entrance that like
Where you're
the,
like, you go in here, and she's like, no.
the weird cement like geometric area.
Dude, right now it's just tense outside.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
But this is like going closer to the
I've been there
emergency
twice in
room.
the last year. It's crazy. So if you need Andy's,
The ambulance.
the Andy, what?
The ambulance.
I can't say that.
But that's so yeah, a man, a store, and a hospital. Is that what I said earlier?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
A man, a store, and a hospital.
Because I thought of like three men and a baby is what I thought of.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
And his somehow one of the most famous things to come out of Boston, like as far as retailers go. And this guy just so happened to summer in Plymouth and decided to.
But I feel like he's one of the most famous retailers. Like it just sounds like he was so groundbreaking.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like he and then
We can hate him for it, but he was groundbreaking.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that he also summered in Plymouth and decided like that's how the Jordan was
Yeah.
created. Good for us,
Good for us.
Plymouthians.
Yeah. And this is the part where the Plymothians stop talking. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or on Instagram at Inebri-art6. You can email us at Inebri-art@yahoo.com. And make sure you listen to the other podcasts on the Inebri-art Podcast Network, including Bar Talk, Old Colony Cast, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror Podcast, and our newest one, Theme Park Legends, a podcast about working at theme parks. What else? And we'll catch you again next time.